Yeah.
Hey, man, look here, man. Turn this down just a little bit, man. This is episode 150. And it means a lot to me because it's a milestone, right? It's supposed to be a milestone of the podcast when we hit these certain numbers. Turn down a little bit, Bow Wow. And this episode means so much to me because, like, 100, I had a guest on. Shout out to Morgan Loren. Thank you for coming on. 50, I don't even remember what happened. But hold on. But the thing is, we're not going to hold on. We're going to wait for the hook, right? I'm going to talk about it. And the piece about 150 is just like, hey, man, we came in. I came in by myself doing this podcast. And don't get me wrong. The idea didn't come by myself. I didn't think of doing a podcast by myself. I didn't even come up with Big Baby by myself. Everything that is this, it came from like the great people that I've met throughout my life, the great people who saw the vision that I was trying to build, the great people who just was like, hey man, that's kind of cool. Have you thought about this? Well, hold on, let me listen to that. What's up?
For making me who I am and putting me where I need to be.
I just want to thank y'all, man, because I couldn't do it without y'all. Anybody who ever shared this podcast, anybody ever who listened to this podcast, downloaded it, talked bad about it, bigged it up, who came on it, man, I appreciate all of y'all because we wouldn't be here without y'all, man. And let me just turn this off, but like, it's just really like I just had to play this song to pop off the podcast, and you know I have the intro, I have the hey, it's the big baby. And I'm back, and I'm 150 in, bro. This is 150. I recorded an episode last week, and I said, you know what? We got to put this one in the tuck because this one can't be 150. And it's a dope interview. Y'all gonna love it, but I could be interviewing Jay-Z, bro. Hey, yo, I don't know if I can get you 150. I can get you 151. Because no matter what viewership I gain moving forward, no matter what love I get moving forward, no matter what love I lose moving forward, when we hit these milestones, we've got to give the love to those who help us get here. You know, as much as I want to cater my podcast for all of my new listeners, as much as I want to cater my podcast for all of those of you who are still listening, I do. I love y'all. Y'all that's been here from day one. I do. But for you day one guys, hey man, sometimes we might switch it up because you know we're trying to bring new people in. But hey, don't get mad at me. I'm still gonna get back to this. I'm still gonna get back to me and the mic. I'm still gonna get back to that. And for those of you who love the interviews, hey, look here, man. We're not going to forget about the interviews. I know we haven't been doing many interviews lately, but that's because of where I've been creatively. I wanted to talk. We got interviews coming soon, I promise you. Okay. But for 150, man, let's just 150 episodes on this feed, man. Let's just think about the iterations of how we got here. 2018 is where I went live on Apple, right? Summer 2018. I remember the first episode is like #DoAPod. And it was like a play off of people who were like eating Tide Pods at the time, right? And it's like, hey, bro, do a pod. And eventually Do a Pod turned into put the bottle down. We put it on a hat. Because the point was, it's like, hey man, you're living a lot, you're doing some stuff out here that you probably shouldn't be doing, man. Yo, just put the bottle down. You're drunk. Go home, son. That's what we did. But then a crazy thing happened in that same year. And I'm gonna look at two people first. I'm gonna look at my former co-host Najoni, and I'm gonna look at my man's Wayne. Because I want to say Wayne was like the first person I shared the podcast with who was like outside of the people who already knew about it. Because I really wasn't. I was working, but I was skeptical about who I shared it with. And then like I shared it with Wayne. And he saw something. Looking back on it, I don't know what the hell he saw, but man, he got better eyes than me. Shout out to your eyes, when I appreciate it. You saw something. And then I remember sending it to Najoni, and I was traveling from Bahrain to America for a class. And she hit me back about she like hit me on some stuff that I said in the pod, and I'm like, oh, you listen. And then I invited her on. Like, hey, you want to come on? We talk some shit, have a good time. Come on, bro. It's one of my best episodes. And then it's like, oh man, we've got something here. So she becomes the co-host, but not only did she become the co-host, she became the producer. And the thing was, I had never been produced before. And now you're having somebody who's on the show with you. No, they're not in your ear telling you, hey, next topic. But you've done the pre-production. And I mean, like, my pre-production is crazy, especially with a co-host when we were working together. It was not just one meeting before the show. It was all day, every day, all week. Like, oh, I see this post. Boom, 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 boom. Send it to you. Oh, cool link. Check this out. Here's like, read that, check up on it. And so we're like going back and forth and we're talking topics. But then it's somebody who was on the show, contributing to the show, but also somebody who was listening to the show while she was on it. She could produce it because early on, I'll say she wasn't emotionally invested into it, and not in a bad way. It's just like, hey, yo, cool opportunity. We can make this shit shake, right? And so as I get to just talking and rambling, because y'all know, if you know me, you know I love to talk and I talk too much. She'd be like, next topic. Go here. You know, go there. And it goes, all right, bet, you're right. The show got better. The numbers increased. Her presence, you know, her sharing it to her people brought a whole different, you know, consumer base, right? Like, I had more people listen to my pod. Like, I'm like, oh, my numbers are jumping. Cool, great. This is excellent. Like, my numbers are jumping. I'm doing a better show. You're teaching me how to be a better podcaster. And like, I'm having a great time podcasting with you. Life happens. And then I'm sitting there like, I can't go back to just me by myself. Not because I don't want to go back to be by myself, but I understand what the viewers were liking. And at this point in time, boy, I am not centered at all. Let me move over here a little bit more. There we go. Okay, sorry. I gotta get the viewers, people, because that's what we've been giving them. And so what do? I do an episode with my guy Sean, and hey, look, let me go back to Sean real quick. There's no podcast without Sean. There's no podcast without VJ. There's no podcast without Marv. With Sean, we did the catch up. And that was just like the introduction into talking into a microphone and doing a show. And then it was like, man, I like talking. And I like Sean, but sometimes, man, I don't really want to talk back and forth with Sean. I just want to keep talking. And Sean and I were doing sports, and I'm like, I love sports, but you know what? Sometimes I want to talk about things that aren't sports. How can I put this out here? Developed it, worked on it. You know, somebody was around Sean and I, and they said, y'all should do a podcast. And that's what we did. We tried it. Shout out to my guy, Sean, man, bro. I love you. Dude. Here's where VJ gets his piece. The name Big Baby does not exist without Van Harold Canty Jr., Big V. Them titties, yeah. Titty boy. No 2 Chainz. Yeah, no. And all because one day he was like, damn, Big Baby, I ain't never seen a nigga so skinny with love handles. I'm like, I ain't got love handles. I just ain't been in the gym. And the man called me Big Baby for a few days. And then it stuck. And I called myself Big Baby. And then other people called me Big Baby. And then I was like, well, I ain't trying to compete with Big Baby Drum or Glenn Big Baby Davis. So I just became Big Baby the GOAT. And then Amanda Seales locked me up. And so I had to become Free Big Baby the GOAT. So that takes me back to where we were at, you know, takes me back to 2018 where, hey, look here. I'm going to tell you, if you don't want to hear the story about this, sign off. Don't listen. But on today, I'm recording November 16th. November 16th, 2 days before my 30th birthday, we're going to talk about how we got to 150. And then we're going to talk about some other stuff too. Excuse me. And I'm going to burp into the microphone because it's mine and I can do that. And I'm going to rock my cheese eggs and ask the question, cheese eggs, please. If you know, you know, right? So let's get back to 2018. You know, situation pops up, so I lose my co-host. I bring Wayne on. And we kicking shit. I'm like, yo, man, we own something. And then that turns into Wayne, Candace, Tony. We do a podcast together. Now, prior to all of this, we did the podcast with Big Baby the GOAT, Chew, and WAP. And it was like some people wake up in the morning just to eat cheese eggs. And that was like where cheese eggs came from. Shout out to WAP. WAP and Chew, bro. Y'all know the origin of cheese eggs, man. And WAP is the origin of cheese eggs because there is no cheese egg shirt. Shout out to everybody who ever bought a cheese egg shirt without us trying to record our first podcast and WAP being late because he got some cheese eggs that morning. That was before me even having a co-host. You know, like some of this stuff is going to go out of order because I'm just talking through it. And a lot of the stuff I haven't talked through since it happened because I try to live in the moment. I try to live in the future. And sometimes I fail to acknowledge the past and what it's done for me. But yes, WAP, Chew, ain't no cheese eggs without y'all. Howard, Dre, Rick, it ain't this big without y'all. Boy, people ain't trying to eat the cheese eggs, man. Shout out to Rawls. You bought a bunch of shirts, man. I rock with you, man. Can't call you GA because I'm from the same state too. And you know what? I just can't call no man GA. Much respect to you now, but I just can't call you GA. And we from the same state. Like, I'm not from Florida, Texas, Virginia. I'm from Georgia. I'm gonna call you by your name. I can't call you a George, nigga. Fuck out of here. So, where are we at now? All right. So then I do the crew. We're doing brunches. We're having different people in, but we're having a steady consistency of the same folks in here recording the pods. And we're doing the brunches, man. It was absolutely amazing. And it really had the Joe Budden vibes. It had it's a group of friends hanging out, sitting there, chopping it up. And I feel like I'm in the room with them. I'm responding to what they're saying. And I'm responding to the different people. Hey, Jabari, come on, baby. You know I can't forget about you. Yannick, I can't forget about you. Michaela. Never forget about you. Tony Baso. Come on now. And we did that, but like from all of that, we also had the pod crew. The pod crew developed, and the pod crew is Wayne, Candace, Chew, Adam. We did a thing. We did some great pods. We did some great numbers. And I look forward to the time where we're all in a place in life where we're all on a schedule that can bring the pod crew back together. Because, hey, look here, for the people who love the pod crew, ain't no beef. We still communicate daily. It's just that, hey, people's lives are in a place to where we can't rock the mic together like we used to. But when that time comes, we'll be back, man. And I love y'all. You know, if nobody gets anything from this, I want everybody to know that I love y'all. Every guest I've ever had. Parlay Pete. We do this every Thursday. But before we did it every Thursday, we were doing it in the group text. Anytime we were together, I'll pull the mics out. You're ready to hop on. Like, you wanted to be on a podcast before I wanted to have guests, and I thank you for that, man, because I was getting in my own way. And now we out here giving out bets. Man, look, we gave y'all 11 bets last week. We went 13. Excuse me, we went 13 bets last week, 6 college bets, 7 NFL bets, and we went 11-2. Yeah, we did that. We out here working together. EB, Boink, my guys, my roommates. Come on now, baby. Y'all come on, we do the basketball pods. We do the pods together. You know, we even brought Parlay Pete into what we're doing. There's no Big Baby and Friends without y'all. JP, my guy. Thank you, man. I'm 17 minutes in. I'm just telling people thank you. And I know there's some people I'm going to miss. Like, hey, Dino. Appreciate it. Big V. Trev. Even Threat. I'm going to block your shot like Tayshaun did. Yeah. That was a fun episode. Look, Don. Bro, we did some numbers together. I love you coming on, talking that shit, man. I really need to get you back on. It's been a minute since I've had you on. Sid Jones, we had a great pod, man. Shout out to the Nest podcast crew. Y'all came on here. I've been on y'all's pod, man. I love the work that we've done. I love the behind the scenes stuff that we've done, the sharing of knowledge. Y'all put me on some game. You know, I appreciate that. And if I helped you in any way, I just hope you appreciate that, man, because that's all I'm trying to do is share love. Josh Fowler. Josh Fowler might be my favorite guest, you know. Nothing against y'all, but Josh Fowler, bro, we come on here and we chop it up like something crazy, bro. And the podcast that he did with his dad, you know, I'm hoping you and Roy pick that back up, you and Pastor Fowler, bro, because I love that. Product of Proverbs, an amazing podcast. Goldmouth Tommy, we got Shadow Clock going right now, and then damn, my bad, Jack, I forgot the name of your podcast. I'll subscribe to it. And then we got my man Goldmouth Tommy, his podcast, dope. Here you go. The streets is talking. Yeah, bro. The streets is talking. Streets is always talking. We love that podcast, man. And shout out to you and all of that, man. Marquita, you know, shout out to you, bro. You dropped the episode today too. Yeah, I know you've been on some other stuff lately, but you dropped a new episode today on BLK MHC office hours. So Black Mental Health Community Office Hours. Yes, Black Mental Health Community Office Hours. Shout out to you, Marquita. You've been a guest on this podcast, and I appreciate you. Shout out to Natasha De Leon and the If My Vagina Could Talk podcast. You know, I used to always joke and say the Pussy Talk. You know what I mean? The Pussy Talk podcast. But the thing about that podcast is I really rock with it because it's like, hey, bro, if a vagina could talk, what would it say? And that podcast was giving vaginas the space to talk and let the rest of you dickheads know what vaginas are actually saying. I rock with it. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on that podcast, man. You know, I got some pods coming soon with some interviews that I've done. I hope y'all love it. But it's been 20 minutes of me and my feelings. It's been 20 minutes of me shouting out people. There's so many more other people I can shout out. Like, I really rock with the podcast I did with the him, Asia, and what's that girl name? Amanda. You know, shout out to them. That was a dope podcast, bro. Shout out to Cindy, bro. Y'all don't understand how many episodes she listened to, how much, like, she was like, that ain't good. You know, that's a good little clip. You should put that. Like, shout out to you for that, Cindy. Like, I greatly appreciate that. Chew, Wayne, Pod Crew, hey, Locker Room, Who's, Chew, Pie, Josh, Campbell's, Morgans, EB. You ain't even in the Pod Crew, but you in another group text. All y'all, bro, I rock with you. Matt, bro. Me and Matt had a great episode. Like the episode I did with Matt, top 5 favorite episodes I've ever done. You know, shout out to Bryson Strickland, man. I prayers up to you, but the episode we did was amazing, bro. You really dropped dimes on us, man. I just keep going in circles. You got me going in circles. Round and round I go. Najee B, one of my favorite ghostwriters. Jay Kirk, bro. Shout out to my ghostwriters. I'm giving my ghostwriters a name because, I mean, shit, we 150 in. Like, I gotta do it.